Here we have it, Taco. Qualifier number 2, game 1 is here. We have a lot to look forward to, a lot in store as teams are trying to fight their way towards the in-person event happening in just a couple of months. And there's only 10 spots, right? This is a very prestigious FNCS to perform well inside.
Yeah, but again, MDF, I think that for a lot of the players that are competing here today, especially some of our week 1 returners, most of the emphasis is going to be getting that set lobby practice in general. I think that most of these teams understand the fact, hey, we're pretty much confirmed for either upper or lower, but this is a new battle shaping up here at Grim Gate. Bucky and Okus actually beating Rapid out on the drop, forcing him to instantly fall to the bottom of Grim Gate, but Batman Booga, he's got coverage. Okus in a whole whirlwind of trouble now, and Batman Booga, he's done just enough. Okus not gonna have that opportunity to initially try and key Rapid. In fact, now he's on the one just going for the full recovery tour. You can see a little bit of Flowberry Fizz handing in his favor, but Batman Booga, he's got that hand cannon. That's also been another weapon that I think has really surfaced in popularity over the course of Opens this past weekend.
Pressure is on for Bucky and Okus to step up here. Saw from socials, you know, Bucky talking about this is his week. He's taking it all away. You know, of course, hyping himself up. There's nothing like getting that pure self-confidence going. But at the end of the day, game 1 is the pace setter, right? It's going to set up your team for success of whether or not you can win this drop here. And honestly, this is a tough battle to be inside of because Batman Booga has control of the high ground right now. They have control of what would be the more dominant position, of course, over this general area. For Bucky and Okus, that means they're going to be conceding away a lot of loot here. So this is not a spot you necessarily want to split. We've seen teams come here and fight it out all the way through to the end, tooth and nail. Never truly splitting, but let's see how it plays out. On the other side, though, talk about those European teams that we want to keep focus on. Japco and Quanti have their work cut out for them as they're going head-to-head against such duo here. Blaha Mixon have gotten very comfortable down in this low ground area of the map, and you know what? They perform better when contested, being that they do well in these early game battles. So Quanti and Japco are both experienced, of course, but they're playing right into the hands of Blaha Mixon.
It's just 3 Europeans plus Quanti fighting over Research Rock currently. And again, whoever comes out on top here, sure, there's a little bit of bragging rights involved, but more so the development of the search strategy over time. And Mixon, slightly difficult position here. You can tell he wants to see if he can try and leverage an angle onto Yapko, but neither of these teams really having any sort of opportunity to get some real materials online for solid builds. Wood going to be the only thing that Mixon has to offer for the time being. Shieldbreaker EMP also going to be expended just to bust a shield bubble, but Quanti stealthy as ever. Slight rampage just to see if you can get a little bit of an overhead view, but again, right back to looting here at Research Rock. There is an okay amount of materials and resources to spread between one team, but 2 separate rosters fighting over not necessarily a shambles spot by any means, MDF, but at this point, it's really just about who's going to be able to actually get a solid rotation into Brawler's Battleground. And you still have to keep in mind, Dukes and Sphinx are a really experienced team. The fact that they're at Brawlers, the fact that they're probably hearing all these shots going off down at Research Rock, it's likely only a matter of time before the third-party opportunities start to come into play, and that could be part of the reason why we see Yapko and Quanti kind of just breaking off.
Yeah, jumping in with Noisy and Tony here. Completely different situation on hand. Noisy and Tony have what looks to be a pretty decent resource lead, but there's other teams rotating in. What is this? Jack on the run right now, so it seems like the focus has shifted for the duo that was here, and they catch a solo Cease right now, and there's just a lot going on right now. It's only a matter of time as Cass and Rojo pick up the loot here and come up with a set of eliminations here. That's a big point swing for them. They're going to be happy to get that, but what a little exchange going down the middle of the map.
Goes to show that even at drops where players are experienced, Cease and Jack, they've been landing at restored reels all season, and yet still encountering new problems. With every set lobby that occurs, you always have to expect the unexpected, right? You don't want to have to worry about your loot path being interrupted. Pollo and Peterbot, they've actually seemed like they've gotten a little bit in sights of Dukes and Sphinx. Pollo having fallen relatively low there, but Brutal Beachhead is bumping right now. Several different teams, possibly more, just trying to engage with each other. And for the time being, Shadow and Virgo do look like they're in a solid position. Decent amount of mats as well to offer here. Paco and Vorteca, they're actually going to be some of the first two to escape. They can tell this is way too hectic, way too enclosed of a space, and entirely too easy for somebody else to essentially pincer us inside of the warship here at Brutal Beachhead. So far, the only eliminations we've been able to catch directly have just been Jack getting cleaned up towards the tail end of things, but you can tell a lot of these teams trying to establish their surge really early on.
I like what Sentin's doing right here, cutting off, getting right in front of not only the rotate, but the team here, Oreo and company nearby, as they were getting chased out from the storm. And you can see how many other teams are looking to set up and try to be the gatekeepers of the edge of this zone right now. It is not looking good. If you're one of the few poised inside the storm here, for Sentin and Walkers, it could have easily been them, but they're looking to just go ahead and get ahead right now, weighing their options. As we've seen teams stick around for less, options are going to start opening up here. Tag comes out from Sentin, nothing connects just yet. And the focus shifts to the resources. You know, Sentin really does have to get farming there. He's got a little bit of metal, but everything else looking worse for wears. Meanwhile, Vino and Clicks doing what they do best, and that's setting up properly here in the mid game. If you've watched any of their live streams over the course of the week, you know that this is a very vocal duo, to say the least, as Vino has been trying to, yeah, you know, I'll be diplomatic here. Vino's been the one trying to go ahead and call the shots here. So I think it really will just come down to whether or not, you know, Clicks can stay laser focused and by Vino's side.
I love their dynamic, though, because I think a lot of people can easily forget just how difficult it is to simultaneously be a part of content creation as heavily involved as like Clicks is, for example, and then Veno as well. He's been throwing up some very consistent streams, and I love the fact that they frequently go for that forecast tower, because as the analyst desk highlighted earlier on during their segment, the tower just north of Snooty Station has about an 80% spawn chance. So it makes sense for Clicks and Veno because they've got a plethora of launch pads and a bunch of those flaming boost hoops as well. So as far as their surge strategy is concerned, because of the frequency of their rotates, due to all the mobility directly in their drop, they have a much easier time, I think, trying to acquire those surge tags, especially when there are teams contesting each other west of them towards that reclaimed villa territory. So if they're able to get those tags online, and if they're able to secure the forecast tower like they were initially setting up for last we checked in, things could be looking really solid for them and being able to follow through on the rest of their positional options, because they do tend to be one of those teams, I think, that frequently looks for a dead side rotate. And that's usually Veno leading the charge, leading the shot calls, as you already pointed out.
Jump in now, the new duo here. Fanatics Agers, DT Rise. Got themselves a nice little sweet spot here. See Rise taking the head, the charge here. And then a Nitro comes out. Love to see teams utilizing this Nitro early on instead of waiting for later situations. Straight into the hoop here to hit the rotate here potentially, but no, instead they go for their solo towers they have set up, looking for Storm Surge, and that'll tell us a lot here. And yeah, look, Ager's positioned up on a cactus as well, so all the little things that'll start connecting the dots here before they make their big rotates. But there's no teams nearby. It's all long range here.
Yeah, but with the way that Agers and Rise have split their focus in these separate surge towers, Nitrodrome, it's a relatively mid-map location. Rise caught wind of someone a little bit northwest of his position, trying to see if he can connect some shots, and it's the same mindset here for Ritual and Rigby and Mordecai. They can recognize the fact that they're definitely under some pressure, but look at that massive surge tower even further west from where Ritual, Reet, and Rigby Mordecai are located, that is a tough spot for Rigby and Mordecai. They're just kind of pinched right now. They don't want to give up freebie shots into their shield, but they might just have to. And Noah plays also getting relatively chased out by Aviv and Bugha, but it doesn't seem like Aviv is all that committed to the pursuit there. It's kind of just like one of those situations where they know eventually Noah will have to come to us regardless, and if not, he might just stroll into the clutches of Batman Bugha. Bugha and Aviv could potentially encounter Batman Bugha as well here towards the underworld. You can see all these long ramps, small towers that have been situated. But Bugha and Aviv, they are leading the charge from round 3. Finished in first place after their strong performance yesterday. It's really just about maintaining that momentum here today.
Yeah, it seems like that's just it. Batman Bugha with a huge ramp, having sight lines in on anyone moving in the air is going to put pause to all of their momentum. Where do Rapid and Bugha take this next is the real question. We knew that they were contested here at the Underworld. It seems like that hasn't stopped them, though, from getting pretty situated. So maybe a little fortune and luck on their side, as their loadouts have come together relatively decently, if I say so myself.
What excites me, though, about Batman Bugha is that you got to consider that this is a player that was originally on, what, like 60 ping or so, recently moved to, I believe, the Dallas area to be able to participate in the zero ping endeavors. And ever since then, it seems like his performances have truly skyrocketed. And it has made a pretty substantial difference, not only in his performance, but in his reputation in the scene in general. So I think he's definitely a great player that we're going to have to keep an eye out for. And that's not to take anything away from Rapid either. Those two have definitely been working pretty seamlessly together since Opens. And I'm just really excited to see how they managed to confirm their placements here today.
What happened here? Last we checked in with Aegis and Rise, they were so positioned, right, to farm up Storm Surge tags and really hold anyone who was trying to get to the rings to rotate. And instead, we find that Rise has been taken out, probably due to greed, if I had to guess, for Surge tags. And yeah, look, Aegis doubling all the way back, so it seems like the split for Surge didn't pay out, and Rise was caught off guard. And now Aegis is going to have a lot more problems on his hands as he has to try to play for a mid-game revive here. That's going to be pretty tough to get that reboot. Meanwhile, on the other side, talking about pickups here, Cooper is down. Not fully eliminated just yet, but Kanata's going to have to ditch his friend here for a second and play pure offense, and does an excellent job at it as well. Oh my gosh, just boxing up Bryce, turning things completely upside down here now. And Usain Bolt's left to do exactly what his name entails, get a run going for a second, because Kanata is trying to do big work here. Great defense, though, is now we're in a one-on-one.
That was beautiful wall takes by Kanata. Not only that, but Usain has got to be careful, because here's the third party that I was waiting for. Anytime you find yourself in a fight and you're not able to close it off clean, right now it's just a one-for-one exchange between two separate parties, but it's likely only a matter of time before some other contenders decide they want to get involved, because again, one of the most difficult aspects about any set lobby is just getting your surge strategy online. And for Kanata, it's even all the more difficult because, again, we know that he just lost Cooper. Same occurrence for Usain Bolt. But now, how do you leave this position with so many teams surrounding you and make it safely to a reboot van in the first place? So for Kanata, the last thing on his mind probably is getting that reboot card off onto Cooper and bringing him back to the lobby, more so as it is escaping, hoping that Tony and Noisy, they seem a little bit more preoccupied with just chasing down Usain Bolts. He might have just been able to wriggle away, but even still, having to head back into the zone, back into the storm, it's going to cause so many problems, because very dependent on whatever surge Kanata did just confirm off that elimination, and that having to essentially carry him through if he's able to get that pickup onto Cooper in the first place.
And good on Tony and Noisy, just recognize that those were solos fighting there. That's one thing a gotta be wary of when taking those fights. But Bolts is an excellent player. Into the storm he goes. He might just get his pickup, get his teammate back into the game. Meanwhile, Peterbottom Pollo up against the likes of Tayson right now. And of course, Iamzo here at the Rift Island. This is a very, very contentious area to be a part of right here. It's not only the battle for supremacy here at the Rift Island, but it's all the resources that get gathered here in the general area. Peterbottom Pollo seem to be in full control of things, though, as they've captured the point. But Iamzo and Tayson not easing up. I wonder what's on their minds right now, forcing them to play so aggressively here.
Likely the fact that they've spotted out, hey, there's a Medallion team, and we want what they've got. So for Iamzo and Tayson, if they can get a hold of that Machinist Medallion, have that free shield regeneration, that they can split, share amongst each other when times get tough, because that's all that Peterbottom Pollo have been doing. And as far as war of attrition is concerned, Peterbottom Pollo definitely leaning a little bit more in their favor, because they're forcing valuable resources, valuable shield to be expended consistently from connecting some solid shots. Not to mention that Mythic Combat Assault Rifle is great for holding height later on in some of those moving zones, for example. And we know how much Peterbottom Pollo love to try and control the high ground, so with the zone pulling in, Storm now becoming a slight problem here. Peterbottom Pollo, they're likely to make a pretty swift escape.
I just want to bring attention to the fact that Peterbottom Pollo not once split up from one another, whereas in the previous season, given that they had the powers of the other medallion to get infinite dashes, they played so differently. So we're just seeing stylistically Peterbottom Pollo, try something new, right? Which is a much more tempered type of duo engagement right there. Very interesting stuff. Start really diving into the styles of Peterbottom Pollo. Meanwhile, Cooper's back, Kanata's back, and they're running up the eliminations right here.
Could be a slight blessing in disguise. Seems as though that wasn't really a fight that they were trying to pick, more so a duo that came to them, possibly after having heard the sound of that reboot van going off. But Kanata, he's toting all three of those bad boys. We know that he had the one earlier, but taking a second glance into exactly how that went down, and Max, they tried to dash into the box, but the reaction time from Kanata is just too good. There's a reason why he's commended so heavily for his mechanical prowess, and can't get a better example than that.
The threats in Epic weren't in conversation last week. Good to see Epic Whale here. Second qualifier. Lot riding here for that duo. And I'm actually more surprised at how much action is happening right now, given that we're in just the zone 6 and it's looking like an end game for real over here. On this side, teams are looking to start collapsing way on in. And we know it, they know it. Everyone here likely is here because they are intentional about looking for a battle right now. And you're gonna get what you're looking for as Scented receives a punishing shot there. Walker's forced to play defensively here. And this is a very interesting duo right here. Talking about playstyles and dynamics. Walker's is a part of this newer generation of player. Very highly skilled, and he's poised up alongside one of the best, right? Scented, of course, being the caller here, but no, the Surge experience not enough to get them through this difficult zone here. Pump and N-Pen also are gonna fall here, and the numbers continue to rack up. This time it's Noisy and Tony, 5 eliminations now. And not only that, they're just barely damage-wise above the Surge, meaning that they must have had a tall hill to climb, and they answered.
But that's part of the problem as well, right? You've got 5 elims, and yet you are just barely outnumbering where that Surge threshold currently sits. Macwood, if he's not careful, locks up currently, but Noisy, all emphasis on that initial rotate. See the action only continuing to build, a lot of congestion as well, starting to pull towards the lower end of these hills here. Mira and Pink, they've got a decent box layout currently, but what they don't have is the damage behind it. They're both taking opportunities to spray. Quanti gets chopped. Unfortunately, no shots gonna connect in their favor just yet. Miro trying to gauge, is there somewhere else I should be looking? But it's just so tough because their options at this point are getting even slimmer. They're gonna have to get up close and personal if they can't find any of these mid-range distance shots. They know that there's a big battle taking place between Quanti, Virgo, and Shadow, as well as Yapko. And right now, Quanti and Yapko, they're getting kind of lobby focused. As the zone pulls in, Miro, Pink, they might have found their opportunity to strike. They see just within their clutches a prime opportunity for a pickoff, but as long as they're getting tagged by the Surge, they're just gonna have to charge right in here, MDF. They don't have any more time to wait.
Miro must be so frustrated. Yeah, I was gonna say, there's a down body right there. The tags that he needs literally right in front of him, and just having a very hard time with all that going down. They didn't find any action. And yes, sure, the Surge is turning off, but they know danger is sitting on their shoulders right now, and the zone doesn't stop here. They have to continue on through. Luckily, the Nitro, of course, is going to give them the unlimited sprint, and everything here, coupled with the Fizz, is going to give them a quick, swift rotate, but so are the other teams likely here as well. They're trailing just behind, so it's going to be all action here for Miro and Pink. They're sitting on top of what looks to be Clix and Vino just nearby, and other teams in the distance.
Everyone just so protective of their builds, though. So many separate HUDs taking place. Miro finally gonna get some decent tags, and again, only 35 above. Pink holding down a separate angle, but checking back in with Peterbot and Pollo doing what they do best. Not gonna waste any more time. Gatekeeper shotgun straight to the face. That's one way to confirm your knocks and eliminations, but I like what Aviv and Booga have done. They've claimed a decent amount of space more towards the dead side of this current zone. Question is whether or not they're going to be able to hold it, but with the zone pulling so far west, this could be prime pickings here for Pollo and Peterbot if they're able to crank up. A little bit low on their map materials, though. They're trying to take care of some of these teams on that ultimate low ground.
Yeah, even Chimp right there, that elimination, not enough, not really giving them much here. Peterbot end up high ground. They have all the information they need. There are no teams really playing the mid ground right now. This is a very interesting end game, very different than you would normally see. In the high ground team is below the Surge. Yeah, talk about anomalies happening everywhere right now. Braids and visuals under the Surge. Low material count to work with. Meanwhile, Ritual and Re are on fire right now. 6 eliminations, plenty to work with here. And the Hill holding them back, though.
Yamzo doesn't even get a chance to respond. Tayson's gonna have to do it all by his lonesome. But yeah, this Hill, the way that the zone is pulled, has not done any of these players from the low ground any sort of favors. Tayson nearly had a knock opportunity, but look at the mega ramp of a lifetime. Benno and Clix, they'll be the first ones to scout it. They're trying to chop it out, but leaving that half wall at it open just slightly too long. Braids and visuals, they will finally be forced down to at least a similar layer as everybody else, but they did have at least one more underworld dash to expend. No fall damage gonna come into play just yet. They did also manage to secure themselves a few more tags, so they are above. Tayson unfortunately picked off in the congestion of the low ground. So hard for any of these players to maneuver all these pre-existing builds. It seems as though someone is hiding behind every single crook and crevice.
A lot of players still alive right now. 20 in the game, 13 duels remaining. Peterbot, Boyo falling there in 12 to the hands of another fresh team on the outside. Zooks and Bacon there on high ground now. Vino and Clix, the master plan coming into fruition here. They have toppled high ground and now taken high ground almost effortlessly, as Braids and Visuals did not have enough material to do anything. But I do think Reet and Ritual are going to be the most dangerous team here to look out for, besides Vino and Clix, who have the high ground right now.
Felt so bad for Visuals there for a moment. He's trying to get the med kit off. He's got a player pickaxing his wall. Ritual and Reet, though, they are doing a solid job just tarping forward. through some of this low ground.
Nice.
Big shot onto Booga and Aviv. That combination of eliminations now going to give the perfect sort of material refresh. Rachel and Reet, they can just keep playing through the low ground. They have so many more mats to work with in comparison to everybody else.
Yeah, they found themselves so uniquely positioned here. Look, even Vino and Clicks are coming down desperately looking to get a little bit more mats, and they get punished for it. And in the end, it's a 2v2v2. Mason and Hound, very much experienced duo right here. It's a team that's been playing for season after season now, but I told you if there was a team to look out for, it was going to be Reet and Ritual, who are now looking to snipe up the high ground, and Ritual is in full control. This is where he plays best. Vino and Clicks have a lot to worry about here now as Clicks dips into the storm, trying to play for a little bit more placement or something there to come out at the end, but it's looking like Reet and Ritual's game here to win.
Not only that, Reed still has 2 med kits if it comes down to it, but it seems as though the direct 2v2 might be enough to confirm.
Wow.
Mason actually going to convert this. He'll get the cleanup off of Hound's knock. Clicks actually picking up the other part of the puzzle. Clicks taking out Reed just sets up Hound and Mason to steal away game 1 for the victory royale.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. When there is a solo player in an end game like that, you really have to be careful. They will determine who will win the game. Clicks points to high ground, says, you know what? I need a little get back there. And it allows Mason to just turn around that distraction and take full advantage here. Take a look as how he jumps straight to high ground and body slams Ritual without him even recognizing he was behind him. Mason and Hound with a very clean win. And yeah, sure, it was Mason's single elim, but it was the most important one of the game. Congratulations to them for the first victory royale here of the day here for the second qualifier. Cyro, Mason, and Hound just put on a great showing there at the end.
Yeah, they did an excellent job, I think, even just hanging with Reet and Ritual as long as they did, because Reet and Ritual, they look so heavily in favor there, MDF, but that's just not always how the cookie crumbles. But we'll get more on the Game 1 breakdown right after this short commercial break.